As the shadows lengthened across the Hogwarts grounds, the sky above the castle slowly turned a velvety blue. The eve of New Year's was upon them, wrapping the ancient stone walls in a blanket of wintry chill. Inside the great hall, the air was alive with anticipation, a bustling blend of laughter, chatter, and the cheerful clinking of goblets. Among the fervent crowd sat Fiona Nightshade, a Ravenclaw second year with dark, curious eyes that missed little. Her hair, perpetually windswept, framed a face brimming with youthful determination. Despite the merriment around her, a flicker of something restless nestled within her gaze. She longed for more than the familiar and comfortable life she'd settled into at Hogwarts. The enchanted ceiling mirrored the night sky, complete with dancing stars and a waxing moon. It was, however, absent of the grand show Fiona felt sure was just beyond the horizon. "Fiona, there you are!" Piped up Preston Filchley, a Gryffindor with a mop of copper hair and freckles that seemed to rearrange themselves depending on his expressions. He plopped down beside her, balancing precariously a plate of treacle tart. "Are you ready for the countdown?" Preston's eyes sparkled with the innocence of his inquiry, yet there was something about the whole affair, this turning of time into yet another numbered year, that seemed altogether mundane to Fiona. "No, not just ready," she said, her voice barely rising above the noise. "I'm curious." Before Preston could inquire further, the clock chimed. Midnight was nearing, and a hush fell gradually upon the hall like a soft veil, anticipation threading through the quiet. But just as the final toast to the year prepared to erupt, the ceiling began to change. A collective gasp echoed as swirling clouds of magical smoke took to the sky. They swirled and danced, forming letters and phrases that shimmered momentarily before diffusing back into the dark void. What on earth? But words failed Fiona as she watched, entranced. More students had begun to notice, with faces upturned, all mystified and speechless. The enigmatic display was unlike anything they'd ever seen. A cascade of whispers rippled through the room, unsettled and intrigued. Professor McGonagall, at the table of faculty, exchanged uncertain glances with her colleagues. The event was unexpected, unbidden, but somehow it didn't feel wrong. Fiona looked to her friends, an idea already forming. This was more than just an enchanting ceiling display. The skipping patterns and shimmering phrases meant something important. "We have to find out what this is all about," she whispered fervently to Preston. "Something tells me this is just the beginning." Against the backdrop of the hall's hushed wonder, Fiona felt the first semblance of the adventure she yearned for, a call to step into the unknown. The next morning, lingering remnants of the mysterious magical phenomenon buzzed through the corridors like excited sparklings of wizard crackers. Fiona walked purposefully to the library, with Preston trailing behind, mouth still stuffed with toast from breakfast. Beside them trotted Hazel Lockhart, a clever Hufflepuff with an impressive network of gossip sources. Her eyes twinkled as she whispered, "I overheard Professor Flitwick saying he hadn't seen anything like it since his student years, but he didn't finish his sentence." "Do you think it's connected to Hogwarts' past?" Fiona mused, her mind picturing corridors inhabited by students from centuries past, all wondering at similar sights. They ducked into the library, a sanctuary of musty books and sweeping rafters. The restricted section beckoned like a secret waiting to be untangled. Fiona had an idea, a thread to pull. "I suspect old spells might hold answers," she whispered, motioning them towards the shadowy stacks. As they crept along, voices caught, becoming nothing more than shadows and hushed echoes. A flickering lamp in the corner illuminated their destination, a dusty alcove housing forgotten lore. "I know a book, Old Traditions and New Beginnings, a history of ancient rituals," Fiona whispered. "It might have what we need." They combed through the shelves until they found it, its spine worn from centuries of curious hands. Flipping through pages, they found the entry detailing the tradition, one lost to time, yet ripe for rediscovery. It described a magical welcome to the new year, a tradition that was inadvertently stopped due to, of all things, a jinxed calendar charm centuries ago. The enchantment, recited just before midnight, promised to unveil breathtaking fireworks that symbolized hope and unity. "This is it!" Preston beamed as he read aloud. "But it doesn't say who created it or how it stopped." Fiona's excitement matched the rapid beat of her heart. Then we must find out who crafted this magic. It could be the key to bringing it back. Determined to find the origins of the tradition, they decided to seek out the castle's older, often overlooked residents, portraits who had watched the centuries pass and preserved the whispers of bygone eras. As they left the library, Fiona found herself brushing against the familiar wonder she craved. This was magic, yes, but something more. Heritage, connection, a history yearning to be reawakened. And for Fiona, standing on the cusp of discovery, it was the dawn of an adventure only dreamt of, with friends at her side, ready to chase the unknown. The race against time to rediscover a spell and resplendence would soon begin. They had work to do before the new year. With the ancient book in hand, Fiona and her friends prepped for their portrait quest. The castle's illustrious array of characters, framed and preserved in paint, might hold the secret histories they sought. Their first stop was a well-accustomed portrait of Sir Cadogan, a knight notorious for his unpredictable bouts of mischief and valor. "Oh, Sir Cadogan!" Hazel hailed the stout knight, who busied himself with a less-than-planned charge into a nearby porridge bowl. His canvas was a battlefield unto itself. "Who dares summon the likes of Sir Cadogan?" he bellowed dramatically, wide-eyed and puffed with purpose. "Be thee in need of courage or a dashing escapade?" "More of a quest for knowledge," Fiona interjected tactfully. "Does your chivalrous history recall an old New Year's tradition involving magical words and nights aglow with fireworks?" His eyes glimmered with the thrill of it. "Ah, ye speak of the old welcome." He stabbed at the air with his sword for effect. Indeed, a gentler day within these walls where welcome sparklings heralded new beginnings. Preston leaned in closer. "Do you know who started it?" Sir Cadogan considered, stroking his bristled chin. "A wizard by the name of, hark, Demetheus Shimmerwing or something akin. His magic was of hope, they say, but alas, these memories fade with every brush of the duster." The trio exchanged glances, deciding that their new lead, albeit faint, was worth pursuing. Next, they visited a portrait of an elegant witch draped in verdant silks, who extended a courteous nod. Lady Evangeline was famed for her wisdom and patience, attributes sometimes overshadowed by Sir Cadogan's theatricality. "To what do I owe this charming audience?" she spoke warmly. "Lady Evangeline," Fiona began with respectful admiration. "Were you acquainted with a wizard named Demetheus Shimmerwing?" Her expression softened into a smile, sighing with nostalgia. "Ah, Demetheus, an artist of magical innovation. His talents crafted enchantments that thrummed life into corners of our world." Preston eagerly leaned. "And the tradition?" "Demetheus believed in unifying all houses with magical marvels," she replied. "His spell, dormant these many years, echoes with his wish for harmony throughout Hogwarts." Where did this magic first flourish? Fiona's curiosity was insatiable. There was once a hidden chamber, accessible through a secret in the astronomy tower, Lady Evangeline revealed thoughtfully. He worked his wonders there. Perhaps it still holds remnants of his beautiful spell. Grateful for the insights, the trio bid the portraits adieu. "Greater wisdom comes from listening." Lady Evangeline's voice echoed after them. "Let it guide you." Having laid their groundwork, Fiona felt the rising sense of urgency. Together they ventured toward the astronomy tower, their footsteps cascading through stone corridors with resolute fervor. There was magic to be reclaimed and a year to be welcomed as it once was, with bursts of enchantment painting the night anew. This was their adventure now, each step toward the tower a piece of their emerging legacy. Fiona's heart soared with each stride. Unraveling this mystery meant restoring not just a tradition, but weaving their own chapter into the story of Hogwarts. The path to the astronomy tower was riddled with surprises, with staircases that thought themselves grand spots for pondering and corridors curving like snaking rivers. Fiona, Preston, and Hazel navigated them with the fervor befitting young explorers. The air grew crisper as they ascended the winding stairwell leading to the tower, the chill prickling against their skin with every step. A sense of something mystical seemed to pulse through the stones, urging them onward. "Are you sure about this? Reversing spells centuries old?" Preston mumbled with subtle apprehension. His grip on his wand tightened slightly. "There's no adventure without a bit of risk, Preston," Fiona grinned, her eyes alight with determination. They reached the top, where an expansive observatory opened out beneath the arch of night. Stars twinkled with mischievous promise, and the occasional lunar gleam painted the stone floor in silver ribbons. There! Hazel pointed toward a tapestry hidden behind a wooden pedestal, an ornate depiction of celestial cycles. Fiona stepped closer, her pulse thrumming with anticipation. Upon inspection, they found her instincts to be correct. It concealed an archway of ancient carvings, intricate as a lace doily, the secret chamber. Together they pushed against the stonework. The tapestry whispered aside and revealed a dim passage that disappeared into an azure glow. "Wands out," Fiona instructed, faint echoes curving through the corridor they breached. It led them into an antechamber illuminated by floating spheres that shimmered with captured traces of moonlight. Amidst the dust-laden shelves was a table layered with scrolls bearing remnants of magical notations, traces of Demetheus Shimmerwing's work. On one scroll lay a faded inscription, a half-finished spell, evoking threads of binding and unison. "This must be it," Hazel gasped, enchanted by the relics. "We could combine this spell with what we learned earlier." "Let's give it a try," Fiona replied, voice resonating with the quiet courage of taking a leap. Drawing their wands together, they stood side by side. Words threaded into their consciousness, borrowed from ancient languages, as they whispered incantations of gathering light and unity. The glow seemed to respond, swirling around them in harmonious undulation. As the spell crescendoed, the spheres pulsed brighter, eager to manifest the spectacle dormant for centuries. "So," Preston exhaled, his voice alight with wonder, "we have the magic ready, but will it work?" "Only time will tell," Fiona replied, her heart brimming with expectancy and the scent of a future stirred by rediscovered spells. They had revived the heart of an old tradition, but how the enchantment would unfold remained part of the mystery the new year promised to unwrap. Their part done, for now they stepped back into the embrace of the tower, each glance exchanged affirming the binding essence of their quest. The countdown towards midnight had begun, and soon the fate of their magic would converge with the first breath of a year renewed, casting echoes and sparks across the skies. It was a challenge met with valor, and perhaps, just perhaps, a legacy reborn into heritage, woven by the hands of a few for the hearts of many. As whispers of their mysterious escapade filled the morning air at breakfast, Fiona, Preston, and Hazel sat at their usual spot, surrounded by platters steaming with pancakes and pumpkin juice. Fiona glanced up at the enchanted ceiling, now a cloudless sky devoid of yesterday's mesmerizing display. "Do you think it'll work?" Hazel asked, her voice barely above a whisper, as though her words carried the weight of their newfound secret. Fiona smiled with quiet confidence. "I think Demetheus's magic was meant to be awakened. We just gave it a gentle nudge." "A nudge and a half," Preston added with a grin, recalling the swirling orbs of light in the hidden chamber. "But what if someone notices the magic doesn't match exactly?" Fiona paused, considering this. Each retelling of spells carried the risk of alteration. Yet she felt a stirring within, the same feeling that whispered adventure to her restless spirit. "We learned from the portraits. There's no record of it for these past years. I doubt anyone will be upset if our version has a personal touch." They laughed, despite the nerves mingling with their excitement. Around them, the great hall bustled, blissfully unaware of the pending spectacle. The morning classes passed in blurs of incantations and theoretical discussions. In charms, Professor Flitwick hummed merrily, oblivious to the cocoon of anticipation around the trio. Lunchtime arrived, bringing with it a tangible sense of expectation. Would the revived enchantment breathe its brilliance into the night? As the day waned, the school seemed to glow with a palpable energy. Fiona, Preston, and Hazel couldn't help but feel entangled in the enchantment surrounding them. The countdown to midnight approached, with every tick of the enchanted clocks scattered about Hogwarts corridors. As night fell, the snowy grounds sparkled under a serene moon. Students milled in the Great Hall, awaiting the traditional New Year's festivities. Euphoria hung in the air, mingling with the scent of roast dinners and festive puddings. The hall was dazzling. A brilliant display of enchanted icicles twinkled above, mimicking the starry sky. Long tables laden with feasts stretched, bending under the weight of celebratory fare. Fiona's heart raced as she exchanged glances with Preston and Hazel. They were among friends. And this moment was meant for sharing, for witnessing a union with the magic Demetrius had lovingly crafted centuries ago. When the clock hands crept closer to midnight, silence wove through the crowd, each heartbeat echoing the imminent spell. 10, 9, 8. Fiona's grip on her wand tightened, anticipation threading through her pulse. 3, 2, 1. The room erupted with an explosion of lux as vibrant fireworks filled the enchanted ceiling. Swirls of silver and gold burst like stars, unfolding ribbons of color intertwined with magical sparkles, creating fantastical shapes and whirling patterns. A hush, followed by bated breaths, filled the hall before applause and cheers burst forth. Awestruck students gazed, seeing not just fireworks but the joy of tradition reborn, each eruption of light mirrored in their eyes. Fiona was still, her heart full, watching the magic she helped rediscover dance. It wasn't just the spell, it was witnessing a shared connection, students and history, a bridge of magic awakening new beginnings. As the last of the fires died down, soothed by a gentle snowfall of enchanted flakes, Fiona grinned at her friends. "We did it," Hazel breathed, wonder etched into her voice. Preston nodded, his usual jest underlined by sincerity. "We really did." And with it, they'd woven themselves into the narrative tapestry of Hogwarts, a blend of past and present, forever tinged with Demetrius's touch and their youthful exuberance. The adventure had opened like a book of wonder, the pages yet unfurling into the unknown that lay ahead. And as Fiona looked around the hall, she understood deeply, this was but the prologue. The real story, their story, was only just beginning.